In the first part of this film on the pilgrimage of Christian meditation, we looked at the essential teaching and the tradition behind it. And in this section, we're going to look at how we put that tradition into daily practice, how we integrate it into our daily lives. Many people today experience life as fragmented. There are many divisions in our lives, whether you are a homemaker, whether you are a busy executive, or a student. There are many pulls and demands in different directions, and we feel often that our lives lack a unity. In meditation, we discover a new way of approaching these challenges and demands of modern existence. We discover a new principle of harmony and peace that we build into our life on a daily basis through a simple daily discipline of morning and evening meditation. In the Christian tradition, meditation is also called the prayer of the heart or contemplation. Contemplation means to be in the temple, but it also means to be contemporary, to be in the present moment. And this is perhaps one of the most important things that modern people have to learn, how to be in the present moment, to be in the presence. And essentially the tradition tells us that there are three elements to this experience of contemplation: silence, stillness, and simplicity. Let's look at each of these in turn. First of all, silence. In order to be silent, we need to find a quiet place and a quiet time. That isn't always easy in daily life, but we have to do the best we can. The ideal times for meditation are early morning, before the day becomes busy, and the early evening, ideally between the end of the day's work and, say, the evening meal or the events of the evening. These times of meditation become great balancing points, great pillars of silence that enrich and stabilize the whole of our daily life. So when you sit to meditate morning and evening, turn the phone off, perhaps let people in the house know that you're meditating, and give yourself as fully as possible to that time as a time of silence and a time of inward attention.
After I brush my teeth and wash my face, I go to a little tiny room in our house and have a half an hour of complete isolation. I'm also a housemaster, so I have 500 students living around my house, and I eat in the dining hall with them every day at lunch, and I have a large family and so forth. So meditation and solitude to some degree go together for me.
And then there's stillness. As soon as we begin to be silent, we begin to discover an inner stillness. But the outer stillness is also a part of meditation. Try and sit still, comfortably, with your back straight. If you sit on a chair, you can put your hands on your lap or on your knees. The basic rule is to sit with your back straight. This will enable you to breathe properly and to be alert and awake. If you're tired after a busy day, you may need to do some stretching or maybe just splash your face with cold water to wake yourself up a little bit. In this time of stillness, you will inevitably feel the distractions of the body. Sometimes there's pain. Try to avoid the pain, obviously. But sometimes it's just little itches or fidgets. Try to avoid those by a little discipline. And you'll find that the discipline of sitting physically still will help you to come to an inner stillness, to that stillness which the psalmist describes as leading us into the knowledge of God. Be still and know that I am God. And this stillness, like the silence, becomes a spiritual element, a spiritual dimension in our daily life.
Meditation is a time of prayer which happens without words, without movement, in solitude, where you are at rest, comfortable, easy, relaxed, and then where you have this opportunity to give your attention to something. And the something is in the silence, around you and within you. It's not a thinking, it's not a praising or a thanking. It's a neutral, simple place of anchor that gently teaches you how to be in the present moment. And it's there that we discover the moment of Christ.
The main reasons why I meditate are really, initially it was to stop the busyness of my life, to really just centre myself and to try and be living in the present. I found I was living too much in the future and even in the past at times. I actually meditate on the train before I go to work and also in the afternoon on the train. So I really try and blend the meditation into my lifestyle. It's my own time which I can spend with God and become closer to Him.
People often look at meditation as a very private thing. You sit down, you still yourself, and you pray alone. But actually it is a very active silence, because through the practice of meditation, you purify your intentions. You get in touch with your source. So when you come out into your normal life, your daily life, you act out of this deep center of energy that you have cultivated or brought into your awareness, your daily awareness. And there is a great desire to reach out to others. You feel more compassionate. You are more aware of what's happening around you.
And the third element of meditation is simplicity, that condition of childlikeness. When we come to meditate, we discover very quickly how busy, how complicated, how distracted our minds are. We're thinking about the past, we're solving problems, we're anticipating the future, we're daydreaming. And all of this activity of the mind is jumbled up together. And at the center of all of this jumble of the mind, there is our self-centeredness, our self-consciousness, our thinking about ourselves. And the essential work of meditation is to take the attention off ourselves. And this new discovery of simplicity in the meditation reveals itself with great delight and freedom in our daily lives.
I'd come across meditation as something that monks did who lived in caves, and it was very complicated and you had to be able to do a headstand for 3 days and so on. So when I came across this small paragraph in a book, in a Christian book, How to Meditate, I thought, this is just Christians jumping on the bandwagon. Meditation isn't Christian, and it's not as simple as this. It's far more complicated than this. So anyway, I read the book, and about 3 pages in, I knew that it is this simple, and it is Christian, and it is for men and women, ordinary men and women.
I think that my practice has, in many ways, healed and released a lot of the drivenness around that, and given me a deeper sense of freedom, a felt sense of freedom. I have another teacher that I've worked with recently who talks about letting go of the conditioned self. Delaminating is the word that he uses. Delaminating from the conditioned self, so that you're not caught in the emotions and the reflexes and the scripts that you were conditioned into. And I think over the years what's transformed for me is the sense of deep inner peace and a sense of rest and relaxation in the truth of who I am, not having to be driven in the ways that I was when I was younger.
Saying the mantra is the daily practice, it is the daily pilgrimage. We choose a word that is sacred in our own tradition. I would recommend the word Maranatha. It's the oldest Christian prayer. It's in Aramaic, the language that Jesus spoke. It means, "Come, Lord." St. Paul ends the first letter to the Corinthians with this earliest Christian prayer. So it's a beautiful and ideal Christian mantra. And it becomes our own. It becomes rooted and integrated into our spiritual life through the daily practice. Say the word as 4 syllables, ma, ra, na, tha. Articulate it clearly in your mind and heart. Don't visualize it, but listen to it. And when the mind wanders into the past, into the future, simply return to the word, giving it your attention gently, faithfully, and simply.
My recommendation to you is, in your daily meditations, to start with a minimum meditation of 20 minutes. Try as soon as you can to put it to 25, and the ideal time is about a half an hour. And take the same time, whether it's 20, 25 or 30 minutes, the same time slot every day. It requires considerable sacrifice to find that time every morning and every evening. Considerable discipline, but it's necessary. Because the presence of God in His universe, in His creation, in your heart and my heart, is of such importance that we ignore it at our peril. And if we ignore it, we can never make sense of either ourselves or the universe. And that's why the journey requires seriousness and discipline. And that seriousness and discipline will lead you to a peace and to a joy that no words can possibly describe.
It is natural, but like all human beings, I'm sometimes undisciplined. But then I have to say, and if I don't, you see, the day doesn't go right. Because I find if I start with first thing with meditation, then that informs my whole life from that day. And then when I end with it, it's a beautiful rounding off of today. And I can't really imagine life without meditating.
No, it's not easy. That's the reality. It does require discipline. The basic discipline is to meditate twice a day for 30 minutes and to stay with that every day. That's the basic discipline. And then there's the necessary internal discipline to meditating, which I think is hard for everybody. So I work at it to try to control my thoughts using the mantra, but it's never easy. Sometimes it's easier than others, but it's never easy for me.
When you meditate deeply for a period of time, you become very aware of your own brokenness, your own vulnerability. And I think this makes you, it gives you a tremendous link to the rest of humanity, insofar as that we all realize that we all have these same problems. We all have tremendous vulnerabilities, we have weaknesses, we have strengths, and sometimes we tend to project our anger or our disappointment or whatever onto the other, and we realize that we all have these problems. We're all broken people. And I think when you realize that, you stop judging the other. You become much more compassionate towards the other.
It's amazing. It's just part of our life. It's like bookends. We start the morning with it before we have breakfast, and he goes off to work, and he comes home, and we always meditate before we have supper. And it's like brushing teeth. It's part of our life together.
It connects you to reality more and more deeply, because it actually has you take the focus off yourself, off your own ego. So when you're meditating, you're not thinking about yourself, you're not thinking your own thoughts, you're not even thinking your own thoughts about God or about the Spirit, or you're just directing your attention to the mantra, which is a practice which takes you past your ego and yourself. And as you begin to go past that, then what you find is you're really more and more connected to other people and to reality as it is, as opposed to your own fantasy world about what reality is.
It's been probably the most transformative practice that I've ever experienced. I was very much into success and striving for success and driving myself very hard. I think with meditation, and people have found that I'm a nicer person now, or maybe my real self has been able to come to the surface and not some mask of somebody else. And I think that's, to me, it's been the most important. It's allowed me to be able to drop the mask of what other people want and be very happy with who I am.
It took me a long time to find my way around, and I think I found the answer. I hope I'm on the way. I think all this while I've been achieving and searching perhaps for the wrong things, or trying to fight for things for the wrong reasons, maybe to feel an insecurity in me, or maybe trying to please someone else, or trying to do more so that I can feel better about myself. And through meditation now I feel that if I feel that love and that stability and that center within me, then perhaps I don't have to fill up the gaps in me with all these other different things. I guess it helps me to understand what are my key priorities in my life.
I think for me it's been more an awareness of the present moment and of enjoying that present moment. I have tended to be, and I still am in many ways, someone who sort of looks ahead and looks to the future, what's coming up next, and so to be able to really appreciate what's happening in the present moment is becoming a gift, I think, that is becoming more apparent for me in my own life. And certainly I've always enjoyed nature and creation, and I think that awareness has become heightened for me over the last number of years. I take great delight in creation and the beauty of that, and it does. I find myself close to God in those moments of appreciation.
Yeah. The sense of knowing oneself as beloved, knowing oneself as received, as embraced, as held in the love of God. In meditation, we deepen in that awareness constantly, and when one lives into that awareness and begins to live out of that awareness, it's almost like, really like Jesus said, it's like being reborn in the Spirit. So a life lived grounded in that, the awareness of love, is a very different life than the life that I guess I began, which was a life really grounded in the sense of the culture and its expectations.
I feel that through my meditation practice, I am more loving. I can feel more love. It comes more easily, even to people who are not very lovable, I am able to project or feel the love. So it's coming from a source very deep within me.
I think the most exciting thing for me has been when I'm done meditating, when I come out of it, I feel a real sort of rebirth, like a reborn experience. And for me, that's really cool, because I guess in that rebirth, I feel like I'm not distracted anymore by things that can bother me every day. And it's exciting because I come out and I realize, wow, this is what, look at, I have this life that I can do all these things in. I have this opportunity to enjoy these aspects of life that I guess I can miss if I don't take that time to refocus and forget the distractions.